This week on The Watchman, children calling for Israel's destruction, reward payments to the families of terrorists, cartoons demonizing Jews, and a new unity deal with the terror group Hamas. It's all happening in the Palestinian Authority under the leadership of Mahmoud Abbas.
Killing Israelis is not a Hamas problem. It is a mainstream Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas problem, and it is the fundamental reason why we don't have peace, and it's the fundamental reason why we continue to have terror.
Itamar Marcus of Palestinian Media Watch joins us to rip the lid off the Palestinian Authority's culture of incitement. You'll see how Israel's supposed partner for peace promotes hatred and violence. Get the inside story this week on The Watchman, only with Christians United for Israel and only on TBN. And welcome to The Watchman. If you want to be considered a moderate, rational actor that's committed to peace, it's probably not a good idea to join forces with a terrorist organization. Yet that's exactly what the Palestinian Authority, led by Mahmoud Abbas, did recently when it reached a unity deal with none other than Hamas. Now, Hamas is a notorious and brutal terrorist group that's funded by Iran and rules Gaza with an iron fist. It has the blood of hundreds of Israelis and dozens of Americans on its hands and remains committed to Israel's destruction. None of this, however, stopped the Palestinian Authority from joining forces with Hamas last month and agreeing to govern the Palestinian territories together. Now, if the Palestinian Authority, or PA, is truly committed to peace with Israel, as we're told again and again by the mainstream media, the European Union, and the UN, then why would it team up with the genocidal jihadists of Hamas? Well, because the PA, under Mahmoud Abbas, is itself a cheerleader for terror and has been for years. Whether it's top PA officials, PA television and social media accounts, or PA textbooks for school children, there is a poisonous culture of incitement and anti-Semitism under the leadership of Mahmoud Abbas. How bad is it? The PA actually pays lifetime salaries to the families of terrorists who have murdered Israelis. That's right. The more Israelis you kill, the more money you get. Folks, our team at Christians United for Israel believes this kind of behavior must be exposed. That's why I headed to Jerusalem recently to sit down with the foremost expert on the radicalism of the Palestinian Authority. His name is Itamar Marcus, and he's the founder and director of a great organization called Palestinian Media Watch. Get ready. You're about to see the true face of the Palestinian Authority, the same Palestinian Authority that receives hundreds of millions of American taxpayer dollars each year. We're hearing again and again that Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian Authority, are Israel's partners for peace. But as you've shown in devastating detail, Itamar, whether it's in schools, in the media, film, music, in the Palestinian territories, this is Palestinian Authority media, by the way, is just littered with incitement and anti-Semitism. Tell us about the messaging coming out of the Palestinian Authority.
So this is critical, what you just said at the end. The messaging is coming from the Palestinian Authority. The problem is not the media. The problem is the leadership. And we use the media really as a window. And what we see is the messaging in all spheres of life. So, for example, you mentioned the school books and Ministry of Education. We're releasing a report now on the names of Palestinian schools. Just in the names, there are 32 schools named after terrorists, most of them mass murderers. We've got 3 schools named after Nazi collaborators and close to 30 additional schools named after various martyrs or the martyrs of. 5 different schools is named for a female terrorist named al-Mughrabi. Al-Mughrabi hijacked a bus with other terrorists. 37 Israelis were killed, 12 of them children, and then named 5 schools for her.
And she's being lionized and glorified in the Palestinian territories.
Exactly, by the leadership, and it's the Ministry of Education that names the schools. There are another 5 schools named after a person named Abu Jihad. Abu Jihad was a terrorist in the 70s and 80s, and they listed ones, all the terror attacks he was responsible for, with the numbers of killed, 125 Israelis. And there are 5 schools named after Abu Jihad. Salah Khalaf planned the Olympic massacre, killed 2 American diplomats in Sudan, and he's got 4 schools named after him. The most prominent terrorists who've killed the most significant people, the most significant terror attacks in history, they're the ones who Palestinian Authority is telling their children, these are your role models, these are your heroes.
These people have American blood on their hands, but not only that, these are mass murders. In the U.S., they'd be classified as terrorist, cold-blooded mass murders, and they're being glorified by top Palestinian Authority officials.
Not only are they glorifying them through the naming of schools, and it really reflects their whole attitude to terror. Do you know that in the entire terror wave last year, and the terror that continues now, no Palestinian leader ever condemns a terror attack?
Including Mahmoud Abbas.
Including Mahmoud Abbas, unless he is absolutely pressed to the wall and he's forced, and then he'll make a general statement being against terror. Yeah. We just recently had a murder of 3 Israelis in their home. It was a 70-year-old grandfather with 2 of his children.
During Shabbat.
During a Shabbat meal, exactly. They were butchered with a knife, literally. Abbas didn't condemn, nobody condemned. There were a lot of supportive things honoring him within the Palestinian Authority. The head of the Commission of Prisoners, former minister, very close to Abbas, he visited the family twice in the first 2 weeks after the murder. Why is he visiting the family of a mass murderer? In the past, al-Mughrabi murdered 37 people in 1978, and she's got all these schools named after her. And the ones that did it just a few weeks ago also were not condemning, we're also honoring them. Killing Israelis is not a Hamas problem. It is a mainstream Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas problem, and it is the fundamental reason why we don't have peace, and it's the fundamental reason why we continue to have terror. A
lot of people, when they think of Palestinian terror, they think of the Gaza terror state run by Hamas, but this is a Palestinian Authority thing through and through, as you just laid out as well.
نحييكم، نحيي المرابطات والمرابطين. نحيي كل ذرة دم أريقت في سبيل القدس، فهي دماء نظيفة، دماء نقية، دماء في سبيل الله إن شاء الله، وكل شهيد سيكون في الجنة، وكل جريح سيكتب له الله الثواب. هذا الأقصى لنا والقيامة لنا، كلها لنا، لا يحق لهم أن يدنسوها بأقدامهم القذرة، فلن نسمح لهم، وسنعمل كل ما نستطيع من أجل حماية القدس.
Talk about the culture. It comes from the top. Talk a little bit more about the indoctrination of young children. We know their schools are named after terrorists. Talk about how it's from the time they're 2 years old, from the time they can walk, they're indoctrinated in this glorification of terror and rampant anti-Semitism.
The glorification of terror is the last stage. What you have to have in the beginning is a demonization and anti-Semitism so that Jews and Israelis are worthy of the terror. We have children's programs that we've seen, unofficial Palestinian TV, owned and controlled by Mahmoud Abbas's people. We've heard children recite a poem that has the words, "They are the most evil among creations, barbaric monkeys and wretched pigs." They hear children, these sweet, beautiful children on TV, and you can't believe the words that's coming out of their mouth.
And you have the clips at Palestinian Media Watch. You've showed them little children.
That's right, little children.
يا بني صهيونة يا شر البرية يا قرودا همجية يا خنازيرا شقية.
الذل مكتوب عليكم والشقاء يا قرودا همجية يا خنازيرا شقية.
شر البرية يا قرود همجية.
أعداء الله أبناء الخنازير تصب النساء في الميادين.
برافو زقفي.
We've had 7 children recite a poem in the last few years with the words, "Our enemy Zion is Satan with a tail." And you see these little kids, and they're going, "Our enemy Zion is Satan with a tail." And you think,
Palestinian Authority endorsed.
Exactly.
وأن عدونا صهيون شيطان له ذيل
عدونا شيطانا صهيون له ذيل
وأن عدونا صهيون شيطان له ذيل
وأن عدونا صهيون شيطان له ذيل وعدونا صهيون شيطان له ذيل.
شكرا كثير لك يارا، أنا بحبها هاي كثير كثير القصة.
Last year in the Ramadan, they had a program, the entire Ramadan, every single day, another section of this program. And the theme was the early period of Islam, and that Satan was trying to destroy Muhammad and Islam. So how was Satan going to do this? Because he had the allies down on earth, and who were they? They were the Jews.
Coming up, we'll show you that disturbing video as Itamar Marcus of Palestinian Media Watch exposes the vicious incitement of the Palestinian Authority. Do not move.
Israel faces growing threats on all sides. Hezbollah, ISIS, Iran, and Hamas never cease their attacks. But God has raised Kufi up at this moment in history to stand between Israel and those who seek to destroy the Jewish state.
Israel's enemies are on the move. As dark clouds gather on the horizon, tell the world you proudly stand with Israel. Be a courageous voice for biblical unity and moral clarity when you join Christians United for Israel. Show your love for the people of Zion with this beautiful symbol of unending support for Israel.
Wear the pin and join Kufi, a movement of over 3.5 million defenders of Israel. Call the number on your screen or visit kufi.org/pin to receive your free pin that will show your proud support for the special bond between Israel and America.
لقد هزمنا يا لعين أمام جندي من جنود الله. الرعب هو من هزم اليهود وأخرجهم من ديارهم في خزي وعار، وهو الذي منعني من النزول إليهم لأدفعهم للقتال. نعم يا شيطان، ألا ترى أن يدي ترتعشان؟
That was a clip from official Palestinian Authority television depicting the Jews as the tools of Satan and eternal enemies of Islam. Our good friends at Palestinian Media Watch provided the clip. Folks, they are doing groundbreaking work uncovering this rampant Palestinian incitement against Israel and the Jewish people. That's right, the Palestinian Authority of Mahmoud Abbas, who much of the world considers to be Israel's partner for peace. Here's more with Palestinian Media Watch founder Itamar Marcus.
In one picture, you see Satan hovering over the Jews, and they're planning to attack Muhammad. And what did you have before? The Satan says, "I've built my plan on the hate and loathing that Jews have for Muhammad." And it's a cartoon. So you're talking about preschoolers, and I'm wondering, how are those preschoolers who spend a month watching that Jews are in partnership with Satan on earth, how are they going to ever grow out of this and accept Jews and Israelis as a neighbor when we're connected to Satan? And Satan is the evil force in the world. And so then when they hear that someone killed an Israeli or a Jew, of course they celebrate it, because you're doing the world a service. The Jews are connected to Satan. Satan's the evil force in the world. You kill a Jew, you've done the world a favor.
Exactly. They're evil. They must be stamped out.
Exactly. In Palestinian Authority, you've got 70, sometimes 80% of people supporting terrorist attacks, 0% condemning the attacks. So why is this happening? And my question is, how do you get good people to support terror? How do you get good people to be terrorists?
Mainstream.
That's right, the mainstream. And the answer is, if you convince them that Jews are such a negative force in the world, that we're actually a threat not only to Palestinians, to all Arabs, all Muslims, and all humanity, so the good people will say, you know what, stamping out Jews is something that is a service to humanity. That's why we're going to enjoy, or that's why we're going to celebrate, the killing of Jews.
The supplying of salaries to Palestinian terrorists from the Palestinian Authority, Christians United for Israel, we've called it pay for slay, where mass murderers are being subsidized, their families being subsidized with payment after killing people, including Americans as well. Talk more about that, Itamar. I know there's legislation right now in Congress trying to cut funding to the PA because of this terror funding. Can you talk more about that official Palestinian Authority program rewarding terrorists financially?
The Palestinian Authority has a law. They call it the Prisoners' Law. And in it, it says all the people who are eligible for this monthly salary are people who, what they call, are in prison for resisting the occupation. In other words, anyone, you stab an Israeli, you murder Israeli, you kill 20, 30, 40 Israelis, whatever you do. If you go to prison for what they call resisting the occupation, which means any terror, you get it. So for example, you've got a person named Abdallah Barghouti. Abdallah Barghouti built the bombs for suicide bombers that blew up the cafeteria at Hebrew University, killing, I think, about 15 students who were having lunch, including Americans and other foreigners. He built the bomb for a couple of cafes, Cafe Hillel, and on buses. He killed 67 Israelis. He's been in jail over 10 years. He's receiving now every month close to $3,000 per month as a salary. So the Palestinian Authority not only promotes terror and puts it on a pedestal, and not only they reward the people with honor by naming places after them, they also reward them financially.
It's incentive to commit mass murder.
Absolutely. In fact, not only is it incentive in theory, we have cases of terrorists who've been caught by Israeli police, and then we've seen the interrogations. And there was one, for example, a guy who said that I will kill an Israeli and be killed, and then my family would be set. He did try to kill them, kill Israelis. He tried to run over some people. He was caught. He's in jail. He's receiving this monthly salary. Had he been killed, his family would receive a lifetime payment per month. That is, his children would have received, until the day they died, a monthly salary, a monthly payment. There are 26,000 families of so-called martyrs.
26,000.
Yes.
Up next, we learn how American taxpayer dollars are helping to pay the salaries of Palestinian terrorists. Folks, you won't want to miss this shocking information. Stick around.
With over 3.5 million members, Christians United for Israel is the largest pro-Israel organization in America. And for Zion's sake, we will not remain silent. We won't stand for the lies and political attacks that threaten Israel's safety and the future of the Jewish people in their God-given homeland. We want you to join us in this sacred movement.
The Jewish people are not alone. Christians United for Israel, I want to thank you for standing up for Israel. I want to thank you for standing up and being counted. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Israel needs you to take a stand. Join Christians United for Israel. Make your voice heard and be remembered as a defender of Israel, the apple of God's eye.
Welcome back. On March 8th, 2016, a decorated American military veteran named Taylor Force was walking along in the Israeli city of Jaffa when, without warning, he was stabbed and killed by a Palestinian terrorist. The terrorist was then shot and killed by police. But under official Palestinian Authority law, the terrorist family receives a lifetime salary as a reward for his evil deed. Here's more with Itamar Marcus of Palestinian Media Watch on this Pay for Slay program and how your taxpayer dollars are helping to support it. Now, are some American taxpayer dollars perhaps helping to pay those salaries? We know several millions, hundreds of millions of dollars go to the PA each year from the United States, from American taxpayers. Who knows where that money's going?
So until we actually exposed this and brought it to Congress, absolutely American money was going, because America was giving money to the general Palestinian budget, which was going to pay for this. If the United States gives them $300 million or $400 million a year, and they designate it for other projects, it frees up the money to pay the salaries to terrorists. 26,000 families, another 6,300 prisoners who are getting their monthly salaries, altogether $350 million, a massive, massive part, about 7% of their full budget.
Mahmoud Abbas, just so our viewers recognize, look, he's the guy with the suit and tie who speaks at the UN, who's meeting with President Trump at the White House. legitimized from the international community. If you could, again, just a little bit more about his personal role in this incitement from the PA, some of the things that Abbas has perhaps said or condoned. And secondly, do you feel a little more confident maybe with the Trump administration that maybe they're going to call out the Palestinians on these various programs that incite and support terror?
Absolutely. The Trump administration is calling out on them. And for example, after the first meeting, Trump made this speech, or Abbas made this speech together with Trump, we're teaching our children a culture of peace. So we immediately, Palestinian Media Watch, immediately produced a video where we showed exactly all of these hate examples that I was just describing to you. How do you call it a culture of peace when you're teaching kids that Jews are monkeys and pigs? And then the next time that they met, according to the newspaper reports, Trump actually yelled at him. He said, "Why did you lie to me?" And then the deputy foreign minister was interviewed on TV and says, "What did you tell Trump?" He says, "It's all there on Palestinian Media Watch's website. Go look at it. This is Israel's deputy foreign minister." So we're giving it to the Israeli government, to Netanyahu, to the foreign ministry, and they are then using it as weapons, as ammunition, to prove exactly who Abbas is. So first of all, in terms of the current situation, the world is responding. Not just America, by the way. Europe is responding sometimes within hours. Literally within hours of our reports in condemnation of the Palestinians. So that's the first thing. Mahmoud Abbas, like you said, wears a tie. He's got this facade. He is more careful. But what he does is all the people around him, he sends out to say these horrific things. Mahmoud al-Abbas, Abbas's close advisor, went on television and defined for Palestinians what the fundamental conflict is with Israel. And he said it's not a new conflict. It's a historic conflict between Islam and the Jews. And the Jews, he said, represent evil, falsehood, the Satan and devil.
نحن ها هنا بدعا من الأمر. هو صراع بين حقيقتين، حقيقة الخير وحقيقة الشر. بين مشروعين، مشروع الرحمن ومشروع الشيطان. مشروع مرتبط بالله وبإرادة الله وبالحق وبالخير، ومشروع مرتبط بالظلم والشيطنة.
Israel is defined as Satan's project by the most important religious figure in the Palestinian Authority. Again, very close to Mahmoud Abbas. So Abbas isn't going to say it, but he has his close people, and he points these people into these positions.
He's very tactful about it. He himself won't be caught on camera saying it, but all of his close confidants, associates will deliver the message.
And appointees, and people he's appointed. For a period of 2 months, his government and all the PA leaders said that Israel was preparing to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque, to violate and defile the Al-Aqsa Mosque. There was a government decision that said, we will prevent the Israelis from destroying the Al-Aqsa Mosque and fulfilling their plan to build a temple in its stead. Well, so that was a government decision, and then a few weeks later, Abbas gets on TV and says, we have to defend Al-Aqsa with every which way, and it even spill our blood for it. Today, the Israeli leadership, I'm sure understands Abbas. I'm sure that they know he's not a peace partner. There is international pressure to keep up this facade. And as long as that international pressure is there, Abbas will still be welcomed in the UN, in Europe, and in Washington, and not isolated and ostracized like he deserves.
Well, Itamar, thank you so much for sounding the alarm. All the great work you're doing at Palestinian Media Watch, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Itamar Marcus for sharing this vital information with us. Folks, you see the website there on your screen. Be sure to check out all of the great work of Palestinian Media Watch. There's a reason that parliaments around the world call on them regularly for their expertise. They are great. Well, up next, my final thoughts on how you can help hold the Palestinian Authority accountable. Find out how after the break.
Long before he was the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence was a friend to Christians United for Israel. Now, he's helping us make Israel stronger and her people safer.
Pastor John Hagee, I thank you for your leadership on behalf of this nation and the Jewish state of Israel. And today, through Christians United for Israel, more than 3.3 million believers have raised their voices, have not been silent in support of Israel. And you can be heard in every city and town across America and in every office on Capitol Hill. And rest assured, the man down the street at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue hears you too. I have faith that with God's help, and with the men and women gathered here, the best days for Israel and for America are yet to come.
Don't miss next year's summit. Join the movement and register now for the 2018 CUFI Washington Summit.
And welcome back. We told you earlier in the show about the new unity deal between the Palestinian Authority and Hamas. Now, if the international community was hoping that Mahmoud Abbas and company would somehow moderate Hamas, they were sadly mistaken. In the weeks since the deal was struck, Hamas leaders have continued vowing to destroy Israel and have refused to disarm, which means they still have untold numbers of rockets pointed at Israeli cities and towns. Now, at the same time, the Palestinian Authority, as you heard today from Itamar Marcus, continues to incite violence against Israel and pay salaries to the families of terrorists. Folks, this cannot stand, and our team at Christians United for Israel believes all American funding of the Palestinian Authority should stop immediately until the PA stops rewarding terrorists. We want you to add your voice on this issue. Join our movement here at Christians United for Israel and learn how we are holding the Palestinian Authority accountable on Capitol Hill and making our presence felt. When we speak, Washington, D.C. listens. We are America's largest pro-Israel organization with over 3.8 million members and growing every day. It's not by our power. It's because God's hand is all over this holy cause. So join us and don't be discouraged. Psalm 121 says that He who watches over Israel, God Almighty, never slumbers or sleeps. Amen. Well, thanks for joining us this week on The Watchman. Until next time, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace.